Hi, Mark. Here, Wednesday, November the 19th. It is 9:25 a.m. Eastern, 2:25 p.m. GMT. US session well underway. Let's have a look at the US dollar. Starting on the dollar index, and you can see the fourth consecutive day. Higher highs, higher lows, a strong push higher today. Support 99.37 and resistance 99.78. Looking to test or push above this intraday resistance and continue the push higher for the US. If there's going to be a turnaround, which we have seen often before, once the US session gets underway, from strong US to weak US, if there's going to be a turnaround, I believe it'll be at around this level, around the 99.78, and sellers would be looking down at the 99.37, but certainly strong US dollar as the US session has started and gets underway. Let's have a look at the majors, starting on the Euro US. And there you see strong US against the Euro. Fourth consecutive day, lower highs, lower lows, testing this support right now at 115.58. Same support that was tested in the beginning of October unsuccessfully. We'll see whether sellers can push below. Got resistance at 115.96. Sellers of Euro buyers of US, strong US, will look to extend this sell-off that we've seen for the past 4 days. Again, if there's going to be a turnaround from strong US dollar to weak US dollar and buying euro, I'd look for it to around these levels, around the 115.59.60 support level. Let's have a look at the pound. Similar to the euro in terms of selling pound, buying US dollar, four red candlesticks, lower highs, lower lows as well. I've got support at 130.90 and I've got resistance at 131.57. Sellers will look to test this support level to push lower, break below the support, was unable to break below in the middle 12th of November. That was last week. We'll see if sellers can push below today if they get back to the support level. If there's going to be a turnaround from strong to weak US dollar, buyers of pound, sellers of US will look to push up off this support level, look back up at the 131.57 resistance. US dollar against the yen, and we've seen this has been extreme, really strong US dollar and really weak yen. Always makes for a strong trend when you've got strong against weak, and that's certainly the case here in the US yen pair. I've got support at 155.18, and I've got resistance, intraday resistance being tested again at 156.39. Well, it's almost 120 pips already as the US session gets underway now. We'll see whether this can continue, how much higher or how much stronger the US can get against a weak yen. There has been talk of intervention. You would think that would stop, or at least buyers would be wary, but so far that hasn't happened. If there's going to be a turnaround, intervention, or just verbal intervention off this level, sellers would be looking down at the 155.18 level to come back and test the 155. And then we've got the US against the Canadian. A really strong day yesterday for the Canadian against the US. Was the only one of the majors that really, the outlier, as I call it. US strengthened against everything yesterday except for the Canadian, which was so strong. Today, a bounce back by the US. I've got support at 139.86 and resistance at 140.21. See if US dollar strength does continue. Perhaps this resistance will get tested and maybe even up to this, which I've put in descending trend line. If it's going to be US dollar weakness and Canadian strength, maybe test the support level of 139.88, which so far sellers have been unable to extend below. I did draw in this descending trend line, which does form could be seen as the start or formation of a descending triangle, which is bearish. Maybe buyers get to test this descending trend line and sellers step in every time. And if that continues through here, that's the descending triangle, and then we'd expect to see a push below this support level. But for now, US buyers in control against the Canadian. We've got resistance, support levels to work with. Good trading, and I'll see you at the end of day session.